Shalom, shalom. This your brother SOW 1986 coming back to you with another video. I just want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Yahweh Khan, Yahweh Badad. Yahweh was with us in the wilderness, and there was no strange idol with him. Shout out to the Torah Israelites, to my brothers of the New Testament Israelites as well. Eventually, we should be reunite. Eventually, that is my goal. That is my dream. Eventually, we may come to one account as far as doctrine and teachings and instructions regarding Yahweh Khan. Again, I have my disagreements with the New Testament regarding the Yahweh Shah doctrine. I think Yahweh Shah was a right ruling teacher. I think he is a brother. There's no doubt about that. He was a right ruling man. He taught our people the secret teachings of the Torah, the mysteries of the Torah. No question about that. I particularly think that he's a Zedekiah Levite, or a Levite from the Hasmonean family. That's my take on that. The reason why I say that is because his brother James was going to the Holy of Holies. Those who are able to go into the Holy of Holies, let me show you the Holy of Holies. Hopefully this is up. Yeah. Those who is able to go into this area of the Holy of Holies, you're considered a high priest. So, and only Levites of Aaron are able to go into the Holy of Holies. That's facts. That's Torah. Okay. So that's why I say that's my take. That's my stake. And I think other Torah Israelites may agree or may not agree with that statement that I just made. Nevertheless, I pray that we eventually may come to the understanding and we come to the 100% pure doctrine of Yahweh Kah, Yahweh Badad. He will teach us all. He will teach us all. Increase be a set of our name. So this video is going to be called "We Need to Go into the Wilderness." And am I talking physically when I say this? No, I'm talking really spiritual when I say this. I'm talking eventually that's going to be a physical situation that happens where we as a people do go into the wilderness, because Yahweh will deliver us as the coming out of Egypt. He's going to do the same thing. It's just going to be it's going to be a greater exodus on how Yahweh Akkad is going to perform his acts, his strange act, and his work, his strange work. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 3. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of Yahweh, make straight in the desert a highway for Allah Hayyanah. See, after you have made that sacrifice unto Yahweh, those who have made a covenant with Yahweh by sacrifice, right? Psalm chapter 50, right? There's certain things that have to be done when you cross that Red Sea on dry land, right? From Egypt, out of the frying pot, out of the fiery furnace, which represents Egypt, which represents the sacrifice on the altar, right? Hold on, give me 1 second. Out of the fiery furnace, right? This brazen altar, right? Which is the representation of Egypt, right? Out of this fiery furnace, you come out, you cross the Red Sea, and you go into the wilderness before you actually go into the holy place, which is a representation of Ysharal. But remember, we're talking about this from the concept of the mind, right? You got to put yourself in that particular situation of, in the mind state. The wilderness is where it's called MDBR, okay? MDBR. Let's look at the word wilderness. MDBR. MDBR, right? MDBR, not midbar. Remember, that's Yiddish. That's Yiddish, okay? We don't deal with the Yiddish, okay? MDBR, okay? The sense of driving a pasture that is open field where the cattle are driven. By implication, the desert. Also speech including its organs: desert, south, speech, wilderness. So Moses in that time, right? Moses at that time was giving the speech of Yahweh. He was given the word of Yahweh. And our people was driving through the wilderness, trying to get to the destination of Canaan, of the land of Canaan, right? Let's go to Dabar, okay? And it says a primitive root, perhaps properly to arrange, but used figuratively, or of words to speak, rarely in a destructive sense, to subdue, answer, appoint, bid, command, commune, declare, destroy, give name, promise, pronounce, rehearse, say, speak, be, spokesman, subdue, talk, teach, tell, think, use. You get the picture, right? So this is not like a full breakdown regarding this video regarding Madabar, but I just trying to like this is what you need to be doing. This is where you need to be, Madabar. You need to be in this state. You need to get out of this state. Okay, you need to put yourself on the altar. Get out of the fiery furnace. After that sacrifice is made, when the sacrifice is made, a smoke ascends, right? It's like a smoke ascends and it goes through here. It goes through this process. Then it get cleansed and it gets arranged. Then it goes to the holy place. All right. Then it goes to the holy place and it sits here for a while to conduct more studies, right? More studies in preparation for you actually to arrange on behalf of Yahweh God. And that's where you go in here to receive the bar from Yahweh, and then you come out. Then you come out and ready to give the bar. That's why it's in here, in this area, excuse me, Shalaki, in this area. Let me see if I can like. So in this area here, right? This is the representation of the arrangement. This is the representation of Madabar, right? What was being arranged? The way that the people ate, the way they received the quails and the manna, and how the instructions on how they were supposed to obtain the manna. Okay, those let's give an example. Let's go to the book of Exodus. Exodus chapter 16, starting from verse 15. Now let's start from verse 14. You get the full context of what's being spoken of. Let's see, I'm doing no time. I don't want to make this too long. I'm just giving an example with regard to the manna, and what's being done during the process of Madabar. Okay, and when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness, excuse me, there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoar frost on the ground. And when the children of Ysharal saw it, they said one to another, it is manna, for they wist not what it was. And Moses said unto them, this is the bread which Yahweh hath given you to eat. This is the thing which Yahweh hath commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating, an omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take ye every man from them which are in tents. Okay? So this is the time in the wilderness. It's the time where you get organized. It's the time that Yahweh is going to organize you, right? And Yahweh is giving you instructions through his servant Moses, right? During his servant Moses. That's the Torah. The Torah is the representation of Moses. Yahweh already giving you the instructions and the teaching on how you need to live. You just need to be able to do it. You just need to go and take your Torah, take your Tanakh, all right, take your Bible, right, and go to the instructions and the teachings of Yahweh and go according to that and live according to that, right? And find and find right ruling men that you can actually learn from, that you can ask questions from, and seek Yahweh. He that doeth between the cherubim, and reading, studying, praying, and doing. And during that time of the wilderness, you're being transformed, you're being organized, and you're being battle fitted to go into the land. Because when you go into the land, go to the book of Joshua. When you go into the land, see all of these represent how we are to work out our salvation before Yahweh God. You know what I'm saying? I took something from Paul with regards to that, but I actually agree with that particular statement. Believe it or not, that you work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, right? But when I speak of that, understanding the concepts of the Torah, going through the process and the progression, right, and the maturation of Israel, of Ysharal, right? The process of the fathers, the patriarchs, and what they had to do, and the lessons they had to learn. Going into Egypt, right? Going into Egypt to become the great nation, right? To get built up. Then, after that, after you've been filled up, now it's time to put yourself on the altar, right? Put yourself on the altar so you can be delivered. And then you go to the wilderness. And then in the wilderness, that's where you build the altar. That's where you build the all the instruments of the tabernacle of the congregation. That's where you build these things. That's where you you practice and you live according to the instructions that Yahweh has laid out. How you perform the appointed feast of Yahweh God, performing the Passover, right? The representation of and the feast of unleavened bread, the Masawah, the feast of the commandments, right? Not only does the feast of the unleavened bread represents the commandments that you've been given, that you are to eat, right? So, and remember, in the wilderness, this is the time of trying and being tested. Remember, remember, this is the time when you have to fight the murmurings within yourself, right? Murmurings. See that? I guess I don't know how to spell murmuring. Murmur. Here we go. Let's go to. Let me see something. Okay. Here we go. I'm starting from verse. Let me just start from verse 1. Okay, let's just start from verse 1. And they took the journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Yashara'el came unto the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after their departing out of the land of Egypt, right? Out of the fiery furnace. Verse 2. And the whole congregation of the children of Yashara'el murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness, right? So remember, think of Moses and Aaron as this is like you got within yourself. You have your mind or the spirit, and your soul and your flesh, right? And you have the soul. The soul represents the people, right? You have the soul that represents the people in this wilderness, and you have the mind. See, there's some things from the New Testament that is good, man. There's some things from the New Testament is good. Not everything, okay? But when Paul says, or I think actually YHWH said this. YHWH actually said this. The right ruling teacher, he said this. The flesh is weak, but the spirit is willing. Think of the flesh or the carnal mind as the people murmuring against Masha and Aharon, right? And Masha and Aharon represents that governmental mind state that wants to do the will of Yahweh and understands that we need to do the will of Yahweh in order to fulfill, right, in order to be able to meet the covenantal requirements, right? There's the covenantal requirements that we have to meet, right, in order to be able to receive the blessings and not the curses, right? To be able to be in that alignment, perfect alignment and arrangement with Yahweh. So Moses and Aaron, like, so so the soul represent. Think about this: your soul, right? Your carnal mind state, your beast person within, right, is arguing and murmuring against. Hey man, what's going on, man? Like, let's go to the word murmuring. Murmured, right? It's lawan. It's lawan or layan. Okay, lawan or layan. Okay, to stop. Usually overnight, by implication to stay permanently, hence in a bad sense to be obstinate, especially in words to complain, right? Abide all night, continue, dwell, endure, grudge, be left, lie all night, right? So lawan or layan represents you being in stagnation, right? You want to go back to Egypt. You want to go back to Egypt, to the house of bondage, to go around the cycle of the copper mind state continually, because you had these creature comforts, excuse me, I can't talk right today. Creature comforts, right? So you have these creature comforts that's back in Egypt, back in the house of bondage, back in the fiery furnace, right? And you're murmuring, meaning you want to be stagnated to that process of going back to the concept of Egypt, to the concept of the to the Pharaoh, right? What is Pharaoh? What does Pharaoh represent? Pharaoh represents the mouth of Ra, the mouth of wickedness, right? It doesn't represent the bar Yahweh, right? It's the mouth of wickedness, Pharaoh. So you want to go back to that counsel, back to that instruction, back to those teachings that teach you to be a slave, that teach you to be a bondage. We talk about, like in my last video, we would have healed Babylon, but she cannot be healed. The doctrines and the wine and the wine and the golden cup that was given to all the nations, right? Go to Jeremiah chapter 25 and it talks about the cup that was given to all the nations, right? We don't want to take that cup. If you're trying to live the way of Yahweh, you don't want to take that cup. You want to go you want to go to the wilderness and prepare that straight way for Yahweh. And in order to do that, you got to listen to Moses and Aaron, right? And you have to fight against your inner being, right? Because Moses can represent the governmental spirit mind state of you that wants to do the will of Yahweh. It wants to live according to the commandments and statutes and judgment. But your soul wants to do what it wants to do. Your soul wants to do fleshly, carnal things, right? I understand. You got to eat. You got to do certain things, this, that, and the other. But he that dwelleth between the cherubim, Yahweh, is trying to teach you something. He's trying to guide you in something. I'll give you an example. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 8. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 1. All the commandments which I command thee this day shall you observe to do, that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers. Right? This is all being said in the wilderness. Okay? And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy power led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thy heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. Again, the wilderness is the place of testing, to being tested and to being arranged, to being humbled before Yahweh Akkad, before you actually going into the land and conquer it. Remember the Proverbs. By humility and the fear of Yahweh are riches and honor and life. Let's go to that. Well, I'll go to that after I finish this. Right? So, he that dwelleth in the cherubim, after you put yourself on the altar, are you going to fulfill your vows? That you make that vow to Yahweh, like, I'm going to serve Yahweh, I'm going to live according to his ways, I'm going to keep his covenant, I'm going to keep his statutes. Remember the covenant that our forefathers made with him? That was a marriage contract, right? That was a marriage contract that Yahweh made with our people, with us, okay? With our forefathers, all right? So he wanted to test to see if they were going to be a faithful wife, right? So at the same time, he's doing the same thing with you. Come, as Psalm chapter 50 says, my devout ones that have come to me by sacrifice, right? We're going to go to that psalm. I'm just paraphrasing. So let's go to verse 3. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not. Neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahweh doth man live. Okay? So you got to decide, right? Once you got to decide, do you want to go back and receive the instructions, the commandments, and the teachings of the Pharaoh, which represents the mouth of Ra, the mouth of wickedness, right? Or do you want to receive and go back to the living of, oh yeah, flesh, you got all this food and all this. I'm gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go back to that verse in Exodus. You get everything you want, but you're in bondage. And you're in bondage and enslaved to your carnal mind state. And you cannot know, and you're in the state of death. You made a covenant with death in that particular point. Remember, the death cannot praise Yahweh. Neither can it declare his truth. So let's continue. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not. Neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahweh doth man live. These are the things that you need to be considering, okay? Right? You have to overcome the hunger by cleaving to Yahweh. Reading, studying, praying, and doing. Okay? Shout out to the brother, to the Zaquan, Yahweh Daban Ysharal of Yahweh Our Righteousness. He talks about that all the time. How we need to be in that alignment, in that perfect alignment, reading, studying, praying, and doing, and living according to those ways, and keeping those commandments, and those statutes, and those judgments. That is the food that he has given you to eat. That is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. Those are the things which he has commanded. Okay? So, let me go back to it. Oh, something just came to my mind. All praise to Yahweh God. I'm go to Leviticus chapter 18, verse 1. Right? Again, we got some of my brothers that still continue in the concept of living according to the ways of Matzarayim, or Kemet, or Egypt. They want to live according to that concept, right? They want to live according to those ways. Could they find out that Ramses III has the same DNA as we do? Remember, I'm going to make a video about that. It's going to be an interesting video. It's my theory. Again, it's not law. But he does have the same DNA as us. He's not an Egyptian. He does not have the same skulls as Ramses II. Okay, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but brothers, Ramses III, yes, he was a pharaoh of Egypt, but he was not an Egyptian. He was a so-called Negro. That's facts. His skulls don't match with Ramses II. Now, back to Leviticus chapter 18. And Yahweh, starting from verse 1, and Yahweh spake unto, remember, Debar, right? In the wilderness, Debar, right? So Madabar is pretty much, when you see Madabar, think of it that it's coming from Yahweh, because it's all about Debar Yahweh, okay? Debar Yahweh, okay? And spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Ysharal, and say unto them, I am Yahweh Allah Hayak. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, shall ye not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do. Neither shall you walk in their ordinances. Okay, their ordinances. Chakwa, right? Chakwa, the appointed, the customs, the manners. Okay, you shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein. I am Yahweh Allah Hayak. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he should live in them. I am Yahweh. See, you got to make a decision. You have to make a decision on far as, hey, are you going to live according to the ways of Yahweh and walk according to them? Not keeping the commandments and the statutes and the judgments of Pharaoh in Egypt, which out of his mouth, out of his debar, from his debar is wickedness and Ra. Okay, when they talk about Ra, isn't that the god of the Egyptians, right? Isn't that one of the gods of the Egyptians, right? Ra, right? So from Pharaoh or Pharaoh, he's the mouth of wickedness. He's the mouth of transgression and iniquity and transgression and the bad, right? That doesn't reflect Yahweh. Remember, when you do that, you're making a covenant with death, right? Let me go to let's go to another scripture that's coming to my head. Let's go to Isaiah chapter. Yeah, here we go. Woe to the rebellious children, says Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with the covering, but not of my spirit, right? Or spirit, or mind state, or wind, right? That come the mind state of Yahweh, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth. What? What did he say again? That walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, the mouth of wickedness, the mouth of Ra, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. This is the things that you need to be considering, O Israel. That's why the wilderness is a very critical element in our progression, in our maturation, in seeking Yahweh, right? But you got to get on that altar. You got to get on that altar. You got to sacrifice, and you got to be willing to make that sacrifice, right? I'm going to Psalms chapter 50, and I'm going to close out. Yeah, I'm going to close out. 28 minutes that's good time. Where's Psalms at? There you go. Psalms chapter 50. Psalm chapter 50. A psalm of Asaph. The mighty power, even Yahweh, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, Allah Hayam hath shined. Allah Hayana shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. Again, when all these things happen unto our people, when all the tribulation and the trials and the misery and the killings in the streets, and our people are getting shot down continually, right? Taken advantage of according to the institution, right? That's against them, according to the wicked policies that are properly against them. That's against us as a people, right? Yahweh's going to allow that to wake you Israelites up continually. He will continue to throw stones at you, right? We talked about the stones, right? The stone of Israel. We know who the stone of Israel is. So let's let me keep going forward. Verse 4. He shall call to the heavens from above and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Okay? Okay? Judgment comes to us first. Then it comes to the nations. Okay? And the heavens shall declare his righteousness. For Allah Hayam is judge himself, Salah. Now listen, this is critical. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Ysharal, and I will testify against thee. I am thy power. Even thy power. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Those who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. I had the wrong scripture the whole time. Salaki, everyone. Salaki. But we'll get the right scripture here. Oh, it was Psalm 50. My bad. I just didn't read further down. Salaki. He shall call to the heaven from above and to the earth that he may judge his people. Psalm 50 verse 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. By sacrifice. Okay? And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for Allah Hayam is judge himself, Salah. This is what we need to do. If you want to be a saint of Yahweh, you got to make that sacrifice. Make that covenant with him. Make that vow, right? Make that vow to Yahweh. That's a covenant. When you make a vow to Yahweh, like, Yahweh, I shall not touch this, or I should not do this until I have been brought in righteousness and that have restored me to my rightful mind of living according to thy ways as an Israelite. You have to make that vow. And Yahweh will empower you, read and study, pray and do, to do these things, to live according to his ways, to keep his covenant, and to keep his statutes and his judgments, which if a man do, he should even live in them. And with that, I just want to say shalom. I pray you continue your studies, and I look for your comments, concerns, anything that you disagree with, anything you do agree with, just let me know. I look forward to your comments if you have any comments concerning the information I brought out. I'll praise to Yahweh God, Yahweh Badad. Again, Yahweh was with us in the wilderness, and there was no strange idol with him. Salah.